If you can avoid this, please, please, please take every measure you can to avoid fighting dirty. You want to get to a place where it's not you versus me. It's we're in this together and here's what we're going to do. So to be able to do that, own your part first. So don't punish your partner for being wrong or punish your partner for sharing something vulnerable. Avoid saying things that you don't mean. This is how you avoid overreacting. And more importantly, it's how you are able to more effectively use your nonverbal communication. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about how to win, or at least not lose, any argument with your partner. If you don't know, I am Mrs. K. I am married to a psychiatrist known online as Dr. K. My whole world is mental health, efficacy, outcomes, etc. And a lot of times in our daily life, people will ask us advice around kind of life as a parent. So Alok and I are talking about all things parenting and family here on this channel. Today, I want to talk to you a little bit about fighting. Alok is probably the best communicator I have ever seen in a one-on-one situation. So having a heated discussion, because we don't argue, we discuss. Having a heated discussion with Alok is mentally very taxing. So my first tip to you is to make sure that you can be 100% present. You should be 100% on for not just your partner's sake, but for your own sake. This is how you avoid saying things that you don't mean. This is how you avoid overreacting. And more importantly, it's how you are able to more effectively use your nonverbal communication. If you're 100% there as your partner is talking, that means you can nod along. That means you can offer physical touch or good eye contact or even a little side eye if the conversation is going somewhere you don't think it should be going. All of that is super important. So to be 100% on, this means that you're not eating, you're not driving, you're not tired, you're not drinking. You are clear, present, 100% attentive to your partner. My second tip for you to try to diffuse conflict is to not sit across from each other. So not one person across the table from the other. Instead, try to sit next to each other. So that way you can offer physical touch, you can feel more on the same page, and you're talking with each other instead of at each other. So the placement of where you sit, I would say pay a little attention to. You're going to feel yourself wanting to go across from your partner when things get heated. Try to be aware of that. And if you're, not distracted, I think you'll be able to be more conscious of those kinds of things. So make sure you use your nonverbals well and make sure that you're thinking about where you're sitting when you're having these conversations. So one important note here is to make sure you set aside time for this conversation. If in the moment you guys are getting heated about something, say, you know what? Why don't we talk about this when we can really talk about this? How is Saturday morning, Friday night, lunch break at whatever day, right? Make sure you make that time and that space to be able to be 100% there, have your seating situation in a way that's productive. Tip number 3, reframe. Reframe from this is an argument to this is a conversation to solve a problem. This means that you want to do a few things. You want to, first of all, reassure your partner. Hey, this is really hard for me to hear, but I want to understand your perspective. So please feel free to say what you feel like you need to say. Or reassure this is going to be tough, but we're going to get through this. I'm here. Let's make sure we talk about it. I want to make sure that I really understand where you're coming from so we can really get to the bottom of this. Things like that offer reassurance that you're there and you're not scared of the conversation are really important. The next thing that you want to do to make sure that you're you're not going to lose an argument, right? Is to find that opportunity to connect. This means offering reassurance, helping that person feel like you're really there with them. So this might look like you saying things like, hey, I know this is hard to talk about, but I'm here. I want to hear what you have to say. Or this might sound like, hey, this is a really tough thing for me to talk about. So I really appreciate that you're willing to listen because I don't like talking about this. Or this might sound like, hey, I know we've been really mad at each other, but I really love you and I really want to work this out. So things like that offer reassurance and that connection is going to go such a long way to just diffusing. All of this is just taking out that kind of negative, attacky energy that sometimes we get when things are just feeling a little out of control. The next part of this is to get into a place where you are problem solving together. You want to get to a place where it's not you versus me, it's we're in this together and here's what we're going to do. So to be able to do that, own your part first. Be the first person to say, hey, I know it's been crazy getting dinner together. I am going to make sure that if my meeting ends after 6, that I coordinate with you earlier that day to make sure one of us can go get dinner or go to the grocery store, or maybe we schedule a late dinner with some friends and we just make those reservations, whatever it is, right? I'm going to make sure that I communicate that to you. So if you're the first person to come to the table with a solution, then you start to get past the I'm so mad, I'm so angry, blah, everything's terrible, everything you do is wrong, blah, blah. You get past those feelings and get into, okay, here's what I can do. What do you think? Is there anything you think you can do differently? And if your partner catches on, they might start coming to the table with it first, which is all the better. We've talked about being 100% on. We've talked about finding that opportunity for connection and reassurance. And you want to reframe from a me versus you to a us versus the world, right? You want to feel like you and I are in this together and everything around us might be challenging, but we will find a way through it. So then tip 4 is kind of the most fun part where you get to make up and make sure that you do make up. I think the old adage of not going to bed angry is a really, really good one because the biggest part of conflict resolution is to make sure it feels resolved, to make sure that it feels like you have a way forward, that you are still connected, that you are going to own your part in this. So when all of that stuff comes together, you can kind of move on. And I would say make sure after you've had a little space from this conversation, signal, hey, I'm going to do that thing. We talked about me making sure that I communicate about dinner with you. Today I've got a bunch of meetings. What do you want to do? Do you want me to order takeout? Do you want me to run to the store? Do you have time to run to the store? And I can kind of throw things quickly together. How do you want to do this? So signal to them that you're doing the work that you talked about doing. The other kind of thing that I want to leave with you is if you can avoid this, please, please, please take every measure you can to avoid fighting dirty. So don't punish your partner for being wrong or punish your partner for sharing something vulnerable. I think we do those kinds of things. We tend to fight dirty when we're tired or exhausted or resentful or too heated in the moment, which is why I think making sure that you set space for a conversation, making sure you're 100% there, making sure that you're seated in a way that's not so encouraging of being antagonistic to each other, making sure that you can reframe and bring solutions to the table. All of that really helps for a nice, clean discussion, if not a nice, clean fight, that no one walks away feeling like they lost. Both people feel they can walk away having won, having been heard, and having some resolution. so you can make up. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful, and I hope you get to make up a lot. Thanks. Bye.